Welcome to YouMeWe Amplified podcast, where we spotlight women wave makers, embedding social initiatives into their businesses and transforming where we live and work. I'm Suzanne F. Stevens, wave maker at YouMeWe Social Impact Group. I'm a speaker, author, trainer, and coach, and yes, a community builder. And obviously, your host for the YouMeWe Social Impact podcast. So, now let's get to the good stuff. Today we are speaking with Dana Kaluzny, co-founder and co-owner of Endswell Beer. From the very first day of opening, Dana and her family embedded a youth-led social enterprise, Soda Bros, into their business model, where 50% of profits from non-alcoholic sodas are donated to community organizations each season. So that's 4 times a year. In their first year, they've already contributed thousands of dollars back into the Collingwood community for various causes. So let's welcome Dana.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. So good to have you
Thank
here.
you for having me.
Yeah. Wonderful. So we'll dive right in. Dana, Endswell didn't just open a brewery. It opened a social enterprise with your kids leading the charge in many ways. So tell us, how did you engage your children in this process?
Well, their mom and dad, so Mike and myself, this is a huge passion of ours, 10 years in the making. Our oldest son is 11. And so he's been along the journey, same with our other son, Ellis, who is 8.5. And so for us, it became really important that if this was going to continue as a family independent business that had integrity to us as a family and also for our community, that we had to center our kids and their experience in building and being a part of this business as well. It couldn't just be their parents and, they're just along for the ride. We started just by talking with our kids about the things that they were most excited about opening this business, how they wanted to be involved. And actually the idea of Soda Bros and the name came from our 11-year-old son. So Calvin is a huge proponent of Soda Bros and feels a lot of ownership because the idea itself came from him.
Okay.
Yeah. So Soda Bros is the name that Calvin came up pretty literally about the fact that it's him and his brother having a non-alcoholic soda, or sodas plural, at the brewery. And they loved the idea of their dad making not just the beer, but also making sodas with them, for them, and them being able to talk about that with their friends. The surprising thing about Soda Bros is that it's not just something for youth where it's like, it's just for them. It's centered around them, but the ripple effect actually extends to all ages. And we have adults that come to the brewery who love Soda Bros, and specifically that's what they drink. They don't drink beer. They love coming for the sodas. And that is just very exciting to us that there's something that people gravitate to that makes them feel just as excited about being at Endswell that the beer does.
Do your kids help make it?
Their dad makes it. They are responsible for the recipe development with him. So deciding the types of flavors that they want and then actually doing the taste testing. So the Soda Bro only goes on tap if it's approved by Calvin and Ellis first.
Okay.
And then they do the accounting with me. So at the end of each season, they sit with me and we have a whole spreadsheet. We go through it and we go through what the costs were, what the revenue was. They get to understand the tax that's on that. They understand what the profit is. And then I walk them through how to do the division between the total and then 50% to the organization. And then the other 50% gets split equally between their education fund and each of their personal bank accounts. So they do that accounting with me, and then they choose the organization. So actually right now, we've just started, October 1st starts the next season. So October, November, December is the next season for Soda Bros, and we don't have an organization yet. That's like a talk that we have around the dinner table. Okay, who should benefit from Soda Bros? Or what particular initiatives are you guys excited about right now? Is that mental health? Is that like sports? That's the kind of conversations that they get to be a part of, and then they choose the organization.
As I'm thinking about it, I've interviewed hundreds of women in 25 countries. And I'm thinking you're the first, well, you're the first brewery, which I love. But secondly, that has engaged their children in such a profound way in the process, like such a learning experience. To your point, they may not be making it, but their stamp has to go on it.
Yeah.
So, and then the whole accounting system of it.
Yeah.
You know, and I've often encouraged people, I don't know if you're familiar with TIVA. TIVA is a microfinancing social initiative. And I often encourage people to do it with their children, because let the children pick. They have to read through all the profiles to pick who they want to contribute to. So it becomes a family initiative, and it bakes that social initiative right into the children at a very young age.
Yeah.
Gives them more meaning, because let's face it, it gives us more meaning, right? Like
it does.
If we're doing it. So that will give them more purpose at a very young age, and which will help with that mental health you just referred to.
Which is like so important too, because, you know, we can't deny that our family, our time is really precious outside of the brewery. And I'm not going to deny the fact that parts of our work, because we're so passionate about it, do come home with us. And so what better way to make sure that there's a really good balance, that some of those conversations are with our kids and that they can participate in it, so it can create a little bit more balance, and that we are making sure, like, okay, if we're having conversations about work at home, they're not alienating or excluding our children, who are such a huge part of our lives, and we're making sure that our time with them is still quality time.
So it's truly a family business.
100% it is.
At a young age, it's a family business. Not where later in life it may be too, but at a young age. Now, you touched on you haven't decided on which charity you're going to give the money to. I know you change it all the time. Why do you change it?
We've been living here for 7 years, and one thing that we absolutely love about this community is how many amazing community-led initiatives, projects, not-for-profits, social clubs exist here that people are really passionate about in so many different areas. And so it became really important to us to spread the love as much as spreading the awareness of all these amazing initiatives, and for us to get to know them too, for our kids to get to know them. So by making it every season, 3 months, we're making sure that they're getting, first of all, they're getting a bigger chunk of the pie. If it was every month, it would be giving out maybe hundreds of dollars instead of thousands of dollars. We'd rather give out a bigger chunk. And then by having 4 a year, we get to introduce and get to know more people doing incredible things in the community, and just, again, like, share the love. We just worked with Team Giver. Amazing organization. So Kenneth and Ryan, they grew up here and best friends, and they were in Canada's Amazing Race season 5.
Oh, yes.
And they came second. And if you haven't seen their season, it is so uplifting. Their friendship and their attitude is just, their optimism is contagious. It's like you get inspired just even off the screen. So my boys loved watching it. We watched it this summer because we supported Team Giver and some of their initiatives this summer with their fundraising. They created a bursary and a scholarship fund so that youth who want to get into the culinary arts and like adventure-based sports and activities have opportunities to be a part of it, like mountain biking and skiing and stuff. So the boys, for instance, really want to give money to there, but we had to have a conversation around, well, we've already done a big fundraiser and given over $6,000 to Team Giver with a big event we did in the spring. Yes, we could work with them again because they're amazing, but if you want to focus on youth-based sports and initiatives, are there other organizations we can look at to share the love?
This also allows the boys to learn about different charities because now they have to research them.
Yep.
So I love the strategy. It'll be interesting to see as you go along from a sustainability and impact standpoint, if your boys decide, let's just stick to these 4 or let's just stick to these 2.
Yeah.
So that they can actually then see the difference they're actually making.
Yeah.
Because it's very difficult to see the difference you're making when we're doing this. It's very, very difficult to measure that difference. And at some point in the social initiatives, especially when you're trying to do fundraising, for that, people want to know the impact they're actually making. And it also creates more meaning when you know you're making an impact rather than just being a paycheck.
Yeah. And I think for us, one thing that's important is the relationship building aspect. So to use Team Giver as an example, they might not be on the Soda Bros beneficiary roster every year, but we know that because of the relationship that we built, that we're going to provide sponsorship and pricing for their Kennis Walk event. We are probably going to do their summer kickoff event. We've created a signature event. We'll probably do that every year. There are organizations that we build relationships with. Rainbow Club, South Georgian Bay is another good one. They were the first beneficiary of Soda Bros. But then since then, we've done other sponsorship-based events as well as like gatherings in our space for the Rainbow Club. So we can still keep those relationships going without it just being tied to the Soda Bros initiative. And I think that's our whole point, is that the Soda Bros initiative is the beginning, the sort of the spark to create these relationships with organizations. Like Hope Haven's another good one. Hope Haven is an organization that's out in Markdale and the Markdale area, and they do equine therapy for youth and adults with different intellectual disabilities and different needs, whether it's physio. They're incredible. So again, it's like we build a relationship, and then from that Soda Bros initiative, how do we see different ways that we can continue fostering that relationship to do other things?
Yeah.
So it's a kind of a yes and.
I love that. And you're starting to hit on that Soda Bros is one way you contribute.
But it's not the only.
It's not the only way.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of that. Like one of the ways you just tapped into, you hosted for Pride. You did an event for them. Other ways that you've baked it into your business to contribute. What are those? One of them is allowing people to use your facility.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
So our vision is beer for people who love beer with people. So it's all about bringing people together. And then our mission in action is that our space is an intimate house party space where we're connecting people to foster these great relationships between people, whether they're already in an existing social club or an organization, or there's people who haven't met yet but might have common interests or different interests for great conversation. But our way that we actually fulfill that is in 3 ways. Is 1, providing our space at no charge to different organizations or initiatives that want to host different gatherings. And we've done that with several organizations so far. 2 is to provide sponsorships for their offsite events, mostly in the form of prizes for their auctions, or we'll come in, we'll do beer tastings, like create experiential elements that they can add to their existing event or their existing gathering to help again. And we'll do that at no charge, and being able to just support them in the ways that they best need it. So those are the 3 ways we do it.
And the reality is, something that I loved when I had read your bio that I was really drawn to, and it's a conversation I have with entrepreneurs all the time. I can't afford to have a social impact because I need to wait till I'm profitable.
Yeah.
And interesting enough, most, not all, but most of the women that I didn't bake it in day one.
Yeah, day one.
And you are one of those women as well. So what kind of conversation did you have in order to say, okay, if we're going to start this brewery, and we're going to talk more about the brewery in a moment, but we're going to start this brewery and it's going to be a family business. What was that conversation like? That on day one, we're not going to wait for a flag, a sign, or a calling. We are going to start right away. How did that conversation go? And why was that so important to you?
Okay. So I'll walk you through how kind of my brain works and how we did it. So Mike and I and the various collaborators, but mostly Mike and I from the very beginning.
So your husband.
My husband's Mike, yes.
Partner.
Yes, my partner. My partner in life and love and all the things.
Yeah.
That's what I'd say. We'll have these like big kind of big vision conversations and ideas that really interest us. And then we'll sort of like narrow it down from that big vision into like, okay, so what is one way or a couple ways that we could design this into the operations and create almost like boundaries or parameters around that idea. So for instance, we want to be able to provide sponsorships for people doing events, and people are constantly asking, which is amazing. However, how are we going to do it in a way that is sustainable for us? Because you can't always say yes to everyone, and you can't just give everyone everything. And how are we going to do it in a way that's mutually beneficial? So ideally, there's some connection between what we're providing the community and what kind of grassroots level exposure or connection that gives people to what matters about our space and our business. So to go back to sponsorships is like, number one, we then created a mission and action, like I said, and it's written out, which is almost like an evaluation criteria of like, okay, these are the ways that we can say yes. And for us, the biggest thing that we can give right now as a new brewery is we've created like a signature prize, which is a brewery tour with Mike, the brewer and the owner, in an intimate group of up to 6 people, a pizza party, so you get your pizzas from later, and your beer tasting. So we create that package together. That allows us to, one, provide something that's a value of like $250 to whatever organization that they don't have to pay for. And it gives us a way of like being present. And then at the same time, will ensure that people can come to our space and experience the things that we know they'll have an amazing time that adds value to their connection to our business. We do that instead of the other option, which is give free beer. There's a lot of organizations, it's just, they'll be like, oh yeah, here's a bunch of beer to have for free. A lot of people ask that, or like, we want a golf course event. We want you to do set up on the station and just serve out free beer. We'll say no to that, not because we don't believe in what they're doing for the event, but because it's outside of what will sustainably work for us.
I just love everything you're saying, because it's having that conversation. Now, you mentioned there was 3 things. Can you recall what they are? And are you okay sharing those?
The 3 things are, so it's using our space as your house party, as your gathering space at no charge. The sponsorship, like prize packages, whether that usually it's this signature package we've created of the brewery tour experience, but sometimes it will be like merch to go with that as well. And then 3 is we will come in, we'll do tastings. But again, the tastings are we're very particular of when we offer that and how. And again, it's just because we're growing. Like from day one, we might not be able to keep up the demand of making the beer for people in the tap room and for people to buy to go, and also have the leftover inventory to be able to give it out for free. We're not going to do that because it's going to compromise our operations. So how can we give, but give in a way where it's not putting us at risk of being in a place where we have to stop giving to many people?
I apologize. What I meant by those 3 things, and maybe I misunderstood,
Yeah.
is more of the strategy. You sound like you set boundaries.
Yes.
One of the boundaries that I'm hearing, and is, again, social impact and strategic, is we need to be able to connect with those people, not just here like our beer. It's about a connection.
Yes.
And we're doing an event together, which I'm very excited about, on October 22nd. And what I call my Compassion Connection is women entrepreneurs. So we're highlighting that. But you were Suzanne, we're co-creating this. We're doing this together. And I said, okay, now there's a connection. So I see that value coming through the way your environment is so relaxed.
Yeah.
That, okay, we have to connect. So you're coming into our place,
Yep.
but we're not just going to, so we're going to have a connection here.
Yep. It's about building relationships. And so honestly, it's not three things. It's just one thing, which is beer for people who love beer with people.
Right.
It's the with people part. And the with people part is, again, a reciprocal, connected relationship.
Now, you've come from the non-for-profit and for-profit
Yeah.
business. So just curious, what would you say would be one or two things that you took from the non-for-profit business that has helped you in the for-profit business?
It's a great question. Kind of going back to what we talked about us, like if you want to do social impact well, it has to be sustainable and you have to build it into your operations from day one, because if you can't do it from day one, you might not be able to do it. Say you're doing really well, but then something happens and you're not doing as well anymore. If you didn't lay it into your baseline, it's going to be really hard to adapt. So I learned from the not-for-profit, you and I talked about this, the financial model of the not-for-profit was that where the money came from dictated what programming you could do or what programming you couldn't do. So I almost learned what was so important in the for-profit, which was if you design a social initiative, take Soda Bros, and you can't continue to operate it, you don't start from a place of a break even, like, then you're not going to be able to keep doing it. Like, if you don't have the money coming in to keep fueling it, then you won't be able to keep doing it and increasing the ways that you do it. And I saw a lot of people in the not-for-profit space that had so many incredible ideas for social impact because they didn't have a grant or a continuous funding source for it. They weren't able to continue to do it. And so it made it really important for me to, even if you have to create boundaries on it, create boundaries on your ideas so that, you know, financially it's going to be sustainable from day one.
Yeah, I love that. And, you know, it's also interesting. You and I have something else in common. We both worked with our husbands. You work with your husband. I do not work with my husband anymore, but I did for 10 years. Did for 10 years, and then COVID hit, and events business wasn't doing so well.
Yeah.
So
Oh my God.
now he started his own business.
Yeah.
Often people like this fantasy of working with your partner. You know, you get either the fantasy or no way in hell.
Yeah.
So tell me and our audience, what has that dynamic taught you about working with your partner? How has it helped your business?
Yeah.
And let's be honest, how's it hindered?
Okay, so number one, I wouldn't do this with anybody else but Mike. And he's told me many times he wouldn't do this with anybody but me. We're unique in that way where our strengths and our challenges really complement one another and we uplift one another and we're there for one another when we need it in the areas that we kind of struggle with. So from day one, we make a really, really good team, a really strong team. Our communication is solid. We're really great at communicating with one another, but our priorities are often very different. So sometimes it's like slowing down enough to talk about the priorities before we get into the bigger conversation where it's like we're just like straight up with each other from the very beginning, which is okay. So an example is I was just chatting about this. So Mike is already thinking about growing and how are we growing and where are we putting all the additional for increasing our can production, where are we putting all these cans and things like that. So his priority is I need to get ahead of this. I need to create more space. Let's purchase more stuff. Let's potentially get a container and then like the quick and easy way to create more space. And I'm more on the practical side and the financial side where I'm like, okay, but we're paying for all this space already. How can we efficiently use the space that we have? So we have to be careful because what will happen in these conversations is if we don't slow down enough to get to the background of what we're talking about, it could sound like I'm just shutting him down. No, it's a no. You can't have more space. You can't get the storage container. So that fight sort of happening about, oh, you don't trust me with the production, or like, you don't see those areas, or you don't work in the back of house, so you don't know how cramped it is. So it's like, we have to slow down and then just have these conversations from a place of, here's where I'm coming from, where are you coming from? And yes, our ideas are different, but there's a common thread. So we just have to find the common thread between us.
Which is a lot easier than yelling at each other, because let's face it, we often take advantage of the people we love the most. So what you're talking about is real leadership, though. That's leadership communication. That's where, okay, let me hear you. So tell us a little bit about how you have 4 employees. You have more than 4.
So Mike and I are full-time employees. That's another big thing that I think baking in social impact from day one is Mike and I started paying ourselves as employees from day one. Because if we couldn't pay ourselves sustainably, we have a mortgage, we have a family. If we didn't have the consistency of the income to us, then I knew that the business would suffer because of this financial stresses on us. That's an aside.
That's sustainability, which is where we're really going right now, is making sure that you are paying yourselves.
Yeah.
And maybe not paying yourselves as much as you want to make.
No, but we still have consistent income. And so, yeah, so we're employees 1 and 2. We have another full-time employee who does like the brewery operations and the maintenance, is like a kind of a jack of all trades. So whether it was the bar or that's what Eric does. Eric's my brother as well. And then Scott, he is another full-time staff, and he is sort of my co-pilot with all things sort of experience, tap room, more customer-facing elements of the business. And then we have 5 part-time staff. But really, at this point, 2 of those part-time staff now that we're like scaling down that are more regular.
So let's talk about leading the team. So who is the quintessential leader?
Me.
So what are some leadership strategies that you use to get the best from your team?
Admitting when I'm overwhelmed or when I need to delegate, and very much admitting that I don't know everything, and I actively want to hear from them, and I actively need them as they need me and I need them. That's number 1. Number 2, I think communication is so huge. And I was chatting with you a little bit before about a quick little system we have, which is like, are you a 1 on this? Are you a 2 on this? Are you a 3 on this? So a 1 is you're super passionate. You want to help lead or drive the initiative or whatever it is. A 2 is you want to be consulted. You want to be involved. You care. You might not need to lead it, but you want to be a part of the decision making. And 3 is you do you. I'm like, this is not a passion project for me. I trust you. You do what you need to do. And so all the staff, whether you're part-time or full-time, are all a part of those conversations and can all equally say, oh, I'm a 1 on this, I'm a 2 on this, I'm a 3 on this. So it's not like Mike and I are the only people who are a 1 on anything.
I love that technique, actually, letting people know how much they actually care about it. Because some people don't really care, but they need to have their voice heard, because ego plays into these things, right?
Yeah.
So understanding where they're coming from, I often use a 1 to 10 on different things like that. So I love that you do that with a 1 to 3 and then take ownership of it.
Yeah. And another thing I just thought of, which I think is really important, is
Please.
We have a staff get together, like an all staff meeting where we'll do training or like an element of just like getting to know each other more. We do that every 2 months, sort of like every 6 weeks to 8 weeks. Scott and I have a bi-weekly check-in. So it's like a standing calendar date where we come in and we check in and we talk about the things that we need to get on the same page about. And then on top of that, we have a regular text channel that we're all a part of to share. And we created that because all the staff, when we were together, agreed that their favorite way of communicating was via text. So we created a text.
That's important.
You have to ask, how do you want to be communicated with? And then we also do 3 months. We did a 3-month check-in. So everybody had like a one-on-one with myself just to check in on how things were going in their first 3 months of working. And then now, because we're about 1 year, we did conversations with everyone, and we structured those conversations around, okay, been working on the team for a year. What do you think is your superpower? And if you were to pick like an archetype, a superhero or a character, who would you be in the team? So if you think about the Avengers, like who are you on our super team? And where in the last year have you seen that your superpowers are activated and where have you seen them hindered? And then how would you like your role to evolve to make sure that more of your superpowers are activated over the course of the next year? So it's like those are the types of conversations we have. We don't do traditional like performance reviews.
Dana, I specialize in conscious leadership. And a lot of what it sounds like you're saying, we joked about it. Yeah, I'm the boss woman. But at the same time, it sounds like it's very not hierarchical.
No.
It's very flat.
Yeah.
Which is very much conscious leadership style, where it's let's find out where your strengths are. Let's push on those strengths. So that gives you time too, right?
Yeah.
To back off and say, you want to own this?
Go.
And it takes because you do have a family, you're both working there.
Yeah.
It's not a 9 to 5
Yeah.
type of arrangement. So I love hearing that sort of.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like as a good example is Kelly just came onto our team within the past sort of 4 months. She came on in the summer. Kelly can't drink beer. Kelly has a background in cocktails and mixology and is super, super passionate about that. So she's leading the development of our small batch cocktail program. And I'm very much like, you do you. And you educate the staff. What do you need from me to support you? But like, let's create this. And so together, we've been able to create it where it's like, okay, now we're going to have a rotating, just the same as the beers rotate. We're going to have one rotating cocktail. And when that cocktail's done, same like the beer, there'll be another one. And it just created another offering. So she's helping us to expand our offerings. Again, keeping with our motto of simplicity, like one non-alcoholic beer to rule them all, different types of wine. Like we're not a bar.
Yeah.
But she's helping us work again within the parameters of what we are to do something that is inviting more people in to have a better experience.
Yeah. Now she's a leader.
Yeah.
A leader amongst a small team, but now she can own that.
And there's opportunities for her to grow in that role as she keeps deciding, is this a place where I love to work and I want to work more here?
Which is great. Now, social initiatives often sound inspiring, but they also can be very challenging. You've been very clear that you do put parameters around everything. Have you found yourself in any situation where profits may not have been? I know you had some hiccups when you started, so you're paying for rent and you weren't making money at the time. Has there never been a time where you said we have to put the social initiative on hold because we can't afford to do it at this particular juncture?
We haven't had to put anything on hold, but we've had to make sure, like for instance, with Soda Bros. Soda Bros has been great because like it's manageable, but if we're going through it too fast, it takes away from Mike's time doing the beer, which is more profitable, where Soda Bros is a break even. So as like a tiny little thing, we were allowing pints of Soda Bros. Like if somebody really loves Soda Bros, they could get like a full pint. But what was happening is we were going through it so quickly because of the greater sizes that Mike, it was pulling him away too much. So again, it's just like, okay, so no pints. It's either a 12-ounce glass or not. And we can't package it to go because we'd like to, but there's too many other elements that are associated with doing that for us to do that right now. So it's more just, it's looking both ways before you cross the road.
Yeah, that's an excellent example too.
So
because all of a sudden you become a pop store.
And Soda Bros is, of all our products, number 5.
Yeah.
So it's in the top 5.
Yeah.
So, but we keep an eye on it too, right? It's like doesn't become something where it's taking away from another SKU that again is,
Yeah, your social impact isn't supposed to cannibalize your business.
No.
Because if it does that, there will no longer be a social impact.
Exactly.
Okay. Looking back on your first year, now you started, it's been just over a year, hasn't it?
October 10th, our 1-year anniversary.
Okay. What ripple of change are you most proud of creating for Collingwood and beyond?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. I love that I get to see almost every day that I work and I'm there. I get to see people coming and enjoying the space and telling us how much they truly value and love that they have this space to come to. I've got from people who are more antisocial, who come on a weekly basis, even just to sit alone at the bar, and they say that they're doing it for practice. Like when I hear that from somebody where they're like, I'm practicing coming out of my shell and being more social, and I feel like I can do that here by just coming once a week and like sitting around people and maybe getting into conversations, like that is amazing. When there's people who felt like there weren't places for them to go where they could just feel accepted and safe, especially in a small town. A lot of people know each other's business and we all make mistakes. Our space has become almost like a place for repair where people know that they are not judged for their past mistakes or any of the maybe things that have happened in their lives in this community, that they can come and we can just meet them exactly where they're at. And we're role modeling that. So even if somebody comes in that they know that they might feel like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen this person in a while. Like, how's this going to go? Because we're role modeling welcoming. We're just going to meet you exactly where you're at. It goes such a long way. That to me is what I'm personally most proud of.
Awesome. Looking ahead, now that we're on our 1-year anniversary, what's your biggest vision for Endswell and Soda Bro?
I want to just keep continuing to do what we've been doing. I want to continue to be a place where community organizations love to come and gather. I love, for instance, that on October 18th, the Dry Run Club is doing their mocktail mile and starting and ending at our place. That, I believe, is like a group of people in a social club that loves our space and who, again, they don't drink alcohol, but Soda Bros was a huge beacon for them to know that we're a place that not only is welcoming them, but is a place that's going to champion their events and their social initiatives. I want to keep doing that.
Who knew, that Soda Bro, you never even thought of that because
Yeah.
it is very much marketed in your business that, oh, let's go there now. I'm a beer drinker. So
I know. Me too.
I'm only coming for.
But you have friends and
Yeah.
family who want to come and hang out with you
Yeah.
that don't drink beer.
I
And
love
so
that. I
it's
love it.
really cool. Like Soda Bros is the base of mocktails and cocktails that we do.
Right.
So Soda Bros gets to increase its exposure by being a major ingredient with not only the cocktails that we do, but the mocktails that we do. So again, it keeps bringing more money in, but in different ways and creating more options for people who love hanging out with beer people.
Yeah.
But they might not be able to participate. I think it's important.
I do too. And a lot more people aren't drinking.
And again, like the beer people want a place where their friends and family feel comfortable because they want to continue to drink beer. They don't want to have to leave a spot that has great beer because their friends and family can't be there and they're like, shoot, we have to find a different location. So it's a win-win.
So let's get into the rapid fire.
Okay.
This is first thought, best thought. Don't overthink it.
Okay.
Okay. What is one thing you wish you knew before starting as a social impact business?
I wish I knew how to talk about it more on a broader sense. I love talking about it in individual conversations. I'm not as good at like the broader marketing of it, as you notice. The marketing of the social impact and the initiatives, and not it's like the things that's like you're most proud of, but then you don't necessarily feel as confident broadcasting it.
And it's such an important thing. You're not alone in that area. It's a huge issue because it's a huge opportunity too. A business opportunity, not only a contribution opportunity.
Yeah.
But
that weird thing where it's like, oh, I don't know if it has to do with being not humble or something. I don't know. It's weird.
It's humility.
Humility, yes.
It is often from humility. And we'll talk about that more because this part's supposed to be quick. And you struck a chord with me on that. What is one piece of advice you would give to an entrepreneur who wants to have a social impact?
design it into your business plan, design it into your budget. If you're figuring out your pricing for something, build it in from the back end.
Great. Was the best piece of advice you've received as an entrepreneur?
It's not about when it happens. It's just believing that it will happen, and it'll happen when it happens. It will take as long as it takes, and that's how long it takes.
Say that 5 times. As a leader, what are the 3 attributes that you employ that you think have a positive impact on your team?
Tailored communication to your team, humility, especially in saying, I don't know or I need help, and role modeling that with your behavior every day.
What leadership lessons did you learn from your kids?
Oh, have way more fun and be spontaneous and messy, and don't worry about that as you're in it. Just be in it.
That is such a kid thing.
You can clean up the mess afterwards, but just enjoy it while you're in it.
Awesome.
That freedom.
I love it. If you had to sum up your philosophy in 3 words, what would it be?
Beer for people who love beer with people. So you could either say beer for people or people for people.
Who's been your biggest influence and why?
That's a tough one. There's so many. Actually, it's been Mike. It's my partner. Why? His patience and his overall passion and dedication is just so inspiring. And because it was so hard, so hard to get this business started, the level of optimism and passion and just this unwavering belief that we were going to do it and it was going to end well.
Is that where it came from? The name?
That's a part of it. We've grown into it. It wasn't the original, but then it became an affirmation. It's going to end well. It's going to end well. Keep going. It's going to end well. So it's Mike.
What is one thing you have had to do that makes you uncomfortable, but you have had to do it anyway, or else you would not get the success you've achieved in your first year?
Honest, direct conversations with people you love, even when it's really hard. And then when you maybe mess up or things didn't go really well, maybe the communication didn't go well, owning that and focusing more on the repair. So I always say when repair is done well, it's the repair that we remember, not the conflict itself. Is just really getting much better at focusing on the repair, because we're not always going to get it right. I'm not always going to get it right.
This is probably the most important question I'm going to ask you. What is your go-to beer?
Oh, that's a tricky one. I would say any Pilsner Mike makes.
Dana, thank you. Thank you for sharing your journey and impact with all of us today. And thank you for our live audience today. They were so cooperative. For those of you that want to connect with you,
To connect with Endswell on Instagram, it's at Endswell Beer. Our website is endswell.ca. Right when you go to the website, you'll get a pop-up to sign up for our newsletter. I send one out once a month. It's great. It's just things you should know. And the best way is just to come to the brewery, to come and talk to us, come hang out with us at the brewery, 26 Elm Street in Collingwood.
to discover more conversations with leaders transforming where we live and work and create sustainable social solutions, please like this page, subscribe so you do not miss an episode, and you continue to make your contribution count for you, me, we.